Good evening, everyone. My name is Harry Peng. I'm 16, a high school student, and welcome to the News Factory podcast.
I'm Brahmjot. I'm 17, same class as Harry and Andrew. And yeah, welcome to our podcast.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm the third member of the podcast. And our podcast is basically about, it's gonna be about school life, basically everything, daily life. It's gonna be about politics, about gender, about what's going on in the world, about nature, about grizzly bears, everything. We're gonna cover an entire wide range of topics. So it's gonna fit everyone's interest. We'll talk about this and that, talk about LGBTQ, we'll talk about religion, we're gonna talk about everything. So we're hitting all your interest points, and it's gonna be fun. And this is why I made this podcast, because no one else has done this before. No one else talks about like fishes, like sharks, and then goes on to talk about politics. That's what makes us special. That's why I'm gonna stick around on our podcast journey.
Hope you enjoy the
Our-
podcast.
Yes, our goal is to be more popular than Joe Rogan's podcast. So
All right, yeah, you guys are gonna have to, spread the word around about this new
We
unique
want to reach a
podcast.
diverse range of the audience, so many people around the school get to know these different views, get to explore these different perspectives from people. We want to introduce and bring people onto the podcast so we can also see opinions from different people too.
Today's topic, societal expectations. What do you guys think?
Well, I would like to bring to everyone's attention the recent plastic surgery operation on actress Erin Moriarty, who is known for starring in The Boys as Starlight. It's a very controversial one because some may argue it did make her look better. Some may argue she already did look pretty. But this is what we're discussing today. So, what are my thoughts on it? I think she's trying to, because she kind of has resemblance to somewhat of like Kim Kardashian or other like female influencers. And I think it's like this unhealthy, like societal, like need for validation from others, this like unhealthy urge for validation, basically,
Yeah, definitely.
for what society sees as like pretty, these societal standards.
Yeah. Like if you check on like Instagram comments and stuff like that, like you're gonna see like lots of people are commenting on her thing that she went from like a solid 7 or like an 8 to like down to like 4. Because everyone's now comparing her to like Kim Kardashian or something like that because of all her Botox she's injecting. It's kind of sad to see that someone who was already, naturally beautiful had to turn to something like plastic surgery, to ruin their faces. And it's gonna have like long-term effects on, like how healthy she is and how healthy that face is gonna be. Because she grows older, all those toxins in their face are gonna like explode and stuff like that. It's gonna ruin her face, and it's gonna ruin her health and stuff like that. It's real bad stuff.
yeah.
You just gotta
Uh,
yeah,
Please
continue,
continue.
Brandon. No,
I think
you wanted to say something.
Snapchat filters are really bad because they can give false expectations when you keep sending and taking photos on these filters, and it perfects your face and jawline and pimples and scars or whatever the hell. And then it fixes your face to look more pretty and more appealing, but it's completely fake. And that gives a fake mind perception of your beauty, and that has ruined beauty standards. Yeah.
Well, this modern thing about beauty standards, yeah, I do want to like bring to everyone's attention that base beauty standards, I think they're still like required for society because if you see now, if we just completely disregard like what is beauty, you get these like have you guys heard of the plus size models recently in media like coverage? A lot of like fat, like unhealthy lifestyles are generalized and normalized because of this like they're saying, oh, we want to break away from society's beauty standards. We want to like differentiate ourselves from it. But this ends up just creating like a very like unhealthy lifestyle that's promoted to a lot of different people, including young and impressionable youth, which is like this controversial one. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't just like expect to be perfect. You can't, you gotta fit your own standards. You can't just like fit into like other people's standards, But sometimes you can't always justify your own expectations as well. You can't just be like a plus size model, when that's unhealthy, and just go around like saying that it's okay to be in your body. Like if you're morbidly obese and you're like 2 burgers away from death, maybe it's a wake-up call. Maybe if some people are calling you fat on the internet because you're eating 10 burgers a day, maybe that is a wake-up call, but then there is a line between what is being mean to you, basically fat shaming, calling you a fatty, pork belly. That's not okay, right? Can't just call people that. But you also got to be supportive. I mean, like like you're gonna die soon if you keep doing this. You got to care for them. You got to reach their hearts and talk to them and connect to them on a personal level. Because that's how you got to truly reach them. Maybe some people just need help, and you just look at that person like, I'm gonna help this person. I'm gonna connect with them on a deeper level. Maybe that's what that star needed. Instead of trying to fit society's expectations and get all that Botox done on her face. Maybe like people needed to encourage her and be like, you're pretty as is, and just like push that societal expectations away, support her and love her for who she is.
Yeah. So there's a difference between supportive and disrespectful, but at the same time, you want to push them in the right direction.
It is hard. Like, how do you know that line? The line is different for everyone, but you just gotta figure it out. It comes with experience and being an empath.
Yeah. Anything to add?
So do you guys ultimately think that these like societal like standards are more detrimental to, because we can't have these like trends being normalized, yet we have to like help the people, but we don't really know if showing them this will like encourage them to be like unhealthy or anything, like unhealthy lifestyles, like, or just trying to fit into society's expectations.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you don't want to go American Psycho on like everything, right? You don't want to start like like perfecting everything and trying to do everything like you want to look good, right? You like looking good. Working out is healthy for you. Like manage your diet properly, that's good for you. But like you want to go American Psycho on everything, like absolutely perfect. Like you're walking on a thin line. Like that's too much.
So you got to have a balance between healthy and too much, and yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be healthy, but you also gotta give yourself some leniency because you can't be living like a robot.
How do you think our school specifically, approaches this kind of problem? Like, for me personally, I do see that they try to like stray away from these societal beauty standards, because the school is more like left set towards the left on the political spectrum. So I just wanted to see what you guys is like see on this take. How do you think the school like approaches this one?
I mean, like based on like beauty, like appearance standards, I don't think the school's doing too much about it. I mean, like the school's obviously trying to get you to work out, but they're making you work out because they want you to be healthy rather than to be like, like looking good. You got PE, you do that stuff. It's like you're doing activity because it's healthy for you, but not like to make yourself look good. I don't think the school is really focusing on like looks and stuff like that, which is probably good. But it is inevitable that like kids will still want to like look good because everyone has a phone nowadays. They're all looking at like social media, and they're all looking at these like pretty people and trying to be them next. It's like, but how's the school gonna stop that? Like they're gonna like take away all their phones. It's not gonna happen.
I think the school could do a bit more. given that compared to other schools like KGV and all this, like KGV has strict uniform policies and whatever. Our school not as strict on uniforms, and like I've seen a lot of hair dyes and makeup and stuff with mostly the MYP kids. Like it's a lot sometimes. And I think it's really maybe distracting, kind of just weird. It stands out a lot for some people.
Well, yeah, the school is trying to promote this like diversity, inclusion. Everyone can look how they want. This is back to what we were talking about earlier. This is how like I feel like they're trying to push themselves away from like our society. They want you to like break free. They think in essence they're trying to break free from society's standards. But yeah, as Brahmjot was saying, it can be distracting. It can be harmful as people become like too fixated, even not trying to look up to society standards, become too fixated on their like appearance, trying to like appeal to the others, trying to look more vibrant, look more like extravagant, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely agree.
Yeah.
And then how would you fix it? Like as a school, like if people are like looking at the internet, like Instagram, stuff like that, like how would you like actively try to stop them from looking at Instagram and stuff like that? Or like, you know, like trying to like be them next, you know?
Well, I feel like instead of having like PSC lessons that are fixated on more woke concepts like gender identity and the LGBTQ, we could focus more on mental health, which is I think what the class was actually meant for. Mental health on and how social media actually affects it, because undoubtedly social media does have a massive impact on how like we think, how we operate as humans nowadays, because it's what we're exposed to on each one of our phones. Like no matter what you have, I can assure you in a classroom of 28, at least maybe like 20, 25 have Instagram on their phones.
That's true, definitely. I mean, do you think these kids should like uninstall Instagram? Or like what should they do with it?
Well, I do think the kids should try avoid technology more, but then I do feel like the adults also have a responsibility in this to try help the kids to get away from this like uh these like society, how like society views everything, how like society wants me to like be and stuff.
Mhm. All right, well, thank you. All right, well, today's gonna be a shorter podcast because it's our first time doing our podcast, and more like an introduction, more like a small snippet, a taste of what's about to come, of the perfecto of everything, of our podcast and stuff like that. So, stick around and enjoy the show. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Good night.